Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite show. I've watched it more times than I can count, and it's not the same with Korra. I've watched Korra all the way through, probably around 10 times, which is still a pretty ridiculous amount, but nowhere near as much as I've watched the original show. So why is that? Well, that's what this series, I'm sure, will get into. The original run of Overanalyzing Avatar was me saying everything I ever wanted to say about the show. That was the goal, and that's what I tried to accomplish. Korra doesn't connect with me in the same way, but I think comparing it to the original show, as well as saying everything I want to say about it, could end up being an interesting angle. If you're coming into this series thinking this will be a horrible, vitriolic, over-the-top takedown of the show, you're in the wrong place. This isn't what you're looking for. If you're coming into this series thinking that I'll praise the show as much as I did Avatar: The Last Airbender, you're also in the wrong place. I tried to be nothing but fair to The Last Airbender when I covered it, pointing out the good when it was often there, and the bad when it was there as well. Korra will get the same treatment. I'll say what's good, I'll say what's bad, and yes, that means Korra, as a show, will receive markedly less praise and more criticism from me. The old overanalyzing tone and flair will still hopefully be just as present as ever, but this project, as a whole, could end up being a very different series than Overanalyzing Avatar was, just like Korra is a very different series from The Last Airbender. I've decided that we'll give Season 1 an honest shot, and if the videos turn out in a way that I like them, we'll carry on. If not, I got other ideas. Alright, now that I've alienated 90% of the people that will ever click on this video, everyone's on the same page, let's get down to it.
When I was a boy, my father, Avatar Aang.
You guys ever get the vibe that this is supposed to be like an updated version of the painting Sokka was doing in the final scene of Avatar? Like, maybe he got older and he got to actually be really good at painting? Starting off strong with some fanfiction shit I thought up. Obviously, this is meant to invoke feelings of the original show, having the camera zoom over the top of Aang and onto the sun as we see our title. Interestingly though, this is the only time the show ever does it, the title on sun backdrop thing, as we get a different title animation for the shortened intro the show uses from now on. Immediately you see a difference in the titles of the two debut episodes, right? Aang's was The Boy in the Iceberg. That was his story, right? But this is Korra's story, so you'd think there would be like a title like The Young Avatar or The Girl in the South Pole or something. I don't know, something better than that, obviously, but you know what I mean, to represent Korra, right? But no, they go with Welcome to Republic City, because a lot of this first season is learning about Republic City and how the world has grown. It's not just telling Korra Welcome to Republic City, it's telling the audience. So for a chapter title, I think it works. So we start with the White Lotus members walking over this hill, away from the port town they just arrived at, and over to this little gathering of disparate igloos. Kind of weird that they would choose to live up here in the windswept highlands rather than the lovely, warm-looking town. Could it be a hint at Tonrock's sordid past as an exile from the north? No, probably not.
Welcome.
Nice that Korra's mom, yeah, I'm just calling her Korra's mom because she has like 10 lines in this whole show, is trying to clean up here. If you look in the background, things are knocked over, spilled, looks like some random earth bending here and there, because Korra seems like she's 3 years old here and would obviously be a horrible cyclone of a child. Also, where is Korra coming from in this shot? In a previous shot that came up on this igloo and it seemed like a one-room kind of deal, but then Korra kicks in the wall from certainly another room. She's not dressed for the cold or old enough to be outside alone, and it's lit back there. Like, I guess maybe there's this tiny-ass room, but I figured that'd just be like a container for firewood or something. And also, wasn't this an igloo a second ago? Why are there earthen walls in here? And also, I was right. Southern Water Tribers clearly don't know how to use doors properly in their younger years. I just spent an entire paragraph whining about igloo architecture and design. This is Overanalyzing Korra. You asked for this. So I praised the writing in the first episode of the last series so much in the idea that all the characters' first lines were very good in characterizing them strongly. And with Korra, I mean, they got it.
I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it!
Right away in her first scene, even though she's young, you can tell she's brash, headstrong, direct. Even the first line is more talking to the audience than the White Lotus member. She says, "This is what's happening. No more Aang. I'm here now." Which is honestly what the show needs right away. Everyone loves the previous cast so much, but right away the show punches you in the face and says, no, we're moving on. Keep up. For an opening scene, I think it does a lot of what it needs to do. On the firebending arena Korra is doing her test on here, you can see there's a flower design, which makes sense. This is like a White Lotus compound, right? The other design, though, I don't really get. It's like a bull's head, maybe, but it's got like a snake body. I don't know. Also, you ever think about how the top of the White Lotus's outfits, the white part, if you flatten it out into a circle rather than draping it over them, it would make a White Lotus design? Of course you didn't think about that. All you ever think about are those damn video games. This scene further subtly characterizes Korra really strongly, even without talking. You see her multiple times enjoying the heat of combat, smiling. She thrives in this, which was the exact opposite of what Aang was like with firebending. What I think is much clunkier is this line from Katara.
She's strong.
She's strong? This gives me the same feeling as the my bending is more powerful than yours from the Hama fight. What do you mean strong? She's very skilled, obviously, yes, but strong feels like a misuse of the term, and dangerously close to that DBZ mindset I always fear Avatar will fall into someday. Also, obvious one, but the 3 White Lotus members that found her as a kid are the same ones that are watching her firebending exam. Show looks great, by the way. Big step up from Avatar, and by the end of that show, it was already looking pretty good. This is like a 10-year-old show, and you'd never know it.
3 elements down, 1 to go.
You're getting ahead of yourself as usual, Korra. We haven't decided if you passed your firebending test yet.
What do you mean? She passed? There's a dude on the roof. She passed.
Ever since you were a little girl, you've excelled at the physical side of bending, but completely ignored the spiritual side.
Oh boy, I can't wait to get into the spiritual side. I'm sure the show will go to great lengths to expand and expound upon it. Surely, right?
Thank you all for believing in me.
Katara has her mother's necklace on here, of course. It's the same design as the one from Atla, so it isn't some other one that Aang made her eventually, but she does sport this other longer necklace. Maybe this one is her betrothal necklace from Aang, standing in because she didn't want to replace her mother's. That igloo doghouse ain't big enough for Naga. Don't even try to convince me, I'm too smart. Weird design on the door, right? Like, what is this thing? I know we're at the White Lotus compound, but it's in Water Tribe colors, and it seems more like a Fire Nation design.
Just taking Naga out for a stroll.
This guy's lucky. This guy is almost a Jean Wei-Fu type. You see this dude as a White Lotus member all over the place, but he's not quite in it enough for me to care, I think. You want to go out and stand on the ridge and look out over the snowfield? Yeah, alright. Even this scene is a little bit of characterization, right? Korra feels trapped in this environment and wants to get away. Pretty solid writing so far.
Iggy, as I've been telling you for the last 15 minutes, we are finally here.
Okay, yes, we'll get this out of the way. Tenzin is voiced by J.K. Simmons, who is, of course, one of my favorite actors, because he is one of everyone's favorite actors, because he is lovely and really good at it.
Unhand me, strange woman!
That's your grandmother, Milo.
And oh good, Tenzin's kids. I can't wait for them to be really fleshed out, interesting characters, and not just walking jokes.
Gran, I've been reading all about your old adventures. I've been dying to ask you, what happened to Zuko's mom?
Well, Denora, it's an incredible tale.
Gran, you look old.
It wasn't that incredible. Also, weird purist fans of the OG show get mad at this line for some reason. Like, oh, the writers are just spitting in our face for wanting to know about Zuko's mom. How dare they? But it's just like, relax, right? If you're feeling antagonized by a throwaway joke in a cartoon, even if it is trying to actively antagonize you, I really can't help you.
Baby's strong. I see another airbender in your future.
Katara, stop saying things are strong. She's gonna turn around and look at Milo and just say he's powerful with some weird reverence. What are you, a fortune teller now too? You were so fucking obsessed with it back in the day, and Aunt Wu used those kind of words too.
I can see that he's a very powerful bender.
All I want is one child like me. A nice non-bender who doesn't blast wind in my face every 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably shouldn't have signed up for restarting the air nomads then, I guess. How you doing that? With your eyebrows? I mean, your eyes too, to an extent, but mostly your eyebrows.
I'm a snowbender!
Literally no snow went flying towards the screen, and thus Pema, so why is Pema covered in snow?
You're not staying, are you?
I'm afraid not. We're only visiting for the night. Then I have to return to Republic City.
Wait, you flew all the way here to visit for the night? Like, it doesn't sound like you got some correspondence halfway here to tell you needed to come back. This was always the plan? So you drug your entire family halfway across the world for a one-night visit just to go back? Telling Korra you couldn't train her yet could have been an email, Tenzin. Would have saved everyone a lot of time. Tenzin is shown with rice and lettuce in front of him. Looks like Aang's diet rubbed off on him.
The city is far too dangerous. Avatar Aang tasked us with keeping you safe while you mastered the 4 elements.
That's an interesting point. So Aang told the White Lotus he wanted them to find his descendant and keep them safe. What Aang was probably envisioning was how the Avatar is usually found and then told of their identity later. Like Roku, they knew he was the Avatar for some time and then told him when he turned 16 and then he went on to start his training. But Korra already knew she was the Avatar when she was really young, so these White Lotus guys just had to be completely all over her from that day onward, if they were going to keep their mission from Aang going.
Bye-bye, Gran.
Oogie? Yip yip.
See ya, thanks for staying for like 10 hours. Interesting that in this shot you can see a White Lotus member looking over Korra, even when she's off just not doing anything.
Nice night for an escape, isn't it?
This, of course, is a lovely little parallel between Korra leaving the South Pole and Katara and Sokka leaving the South Pole. Gran catches them leaving, and they're surprised to hear that they have her blessing. And now, Katara, in the role of Gran, also gives Korra the freedom to leave as well. Very nice. Okay, updated igloo architecture. You have windows and open doors in your igloo? Hello? It's the South Pole outside? side, I thought. Ah, Korra. The more things change, the more they stay the same. So Korra stows away on this boat, and whoa, Jesus Christ, why does she make a creepypasta face? She looks horrifying in this shot. Can you imagine waking up to this, looking at you at the foot of your bed? She doesn't look relieved or excited. She looks like she's trying to eat Eren Yeager's mom. It's New York, and Aang's the Statue of Liberty for some reason. That always struck me as weird. Is Aang the kind of guy that would need a 200-foot statue of himself in the water? The council probably thought it up.
Sorry about that. Excuse us.
You're telling me there's a New Yorkers being jostled in the street moment and not one person said, "Hey, I'm walking here." Wow, these writers really must know restraint. Also, canonically, I believe Korra is the first one to ever train a polar bear dog, so why isn't everyone, especially this lady, freaking the fuck out? Damn, they got their bridge design from Kyoshi Island. Yeah, you're not even gonna, like, gut it or anything? Alright, I mean, you're the Avatar, and homeless man.
Stop! You can't fish here! You best skedaddle.
I get the feeling that this guy might be like 1/16th Earthbender.
Are you tired of living under the tyranny of benders? Then join the Equalists!
So this is a pretty good scene. It introduces the main conflict and shows that Korra is utterly unequipped to deal with it, right? Like, she's great physically, but she's getting bashed verbally by a crowd, and she's just like, oh, duh. Pretty economical so far, these scenes. Pretty effective. See, I told you that design looked more Fire Nation. Look.
Mr. Chung, please tell me that you have my money, or else I can't guarantee I can protect your fine establishment.
This is an important scene because we see three bad guys, all with different bending, working together. Firebender, Waterbender, Earthbender, which was a big deal when this episode aired.
Who do you think you are?
Why don't you come and find out?
And now we get a scene where Korra thrives. She gets to throw down and embarrass some people. And one thing Korra definitely has on the original is that people get fucked up in this show. Like, most of the impacts in Avatar feel kind of muted. Like, when someone gets thrown up against something, it's almost like they're hitting something softer than a wall or the ground, most of the time anyway. But not in this show. People get dummied, and I'm way into that. Looks like this guy's gonna fall into a pile of, like, food and produce, but no, it's actually a stand filled with bricks now for some reason. Yes, Korra did this same block at the start, and she looks pretty thrilled to get to use it again.
Cool, metal benders.
Ah yes, the metal bending police, and the first sign that not just the technology of the show has evolved greatly, but the bending has as well, for better or for much often worse. I'm sure I'll get into it at length multiple times, you just wait. There's no way you wouldn't cut your knuckles like a lot of the time with that shit, right?
You can explain yourself all you like down at headquarters.
Interesting that Naga is trained to just deliver the old hip and shoulder to someone attacking Korra, rather than just mauling them horribly. I mean, Korra's been sheltered her whole life. Where did Naga get awareness for that specific situation? Are these lines supposed to be electrical lines? Because that's your first thought, right? But then this dude just starts skating along it, meaning that it's metal. Probably the same material as their Spider-Man whips. So the whole city is just draped in these weird cables so the police can get around easier? This doesn't make any sense, right? That would just make it so the cable would be frozen in place and have no more give, and probably just rip Korra's hair or scalp off. You see, but then in this shot, there are actual power lines, meaning that yes, there is just a bunch of weird cables hanging around Republic City. Got it. I bet they'll remember to put those in a lot of shots. Oh, hey, Toph.
Not to mention evading arrest.
There ain't no words on that paper. I looked.
But there were some thugs threatening a helpless shopkeeper, and I
Can
had to...
it? You should have called the police and stayed out of the way.
But I couldn't just sit by and do nothing.
Once again, I think this is a pretty good scene, showing us how the world has changed. That was Aang's shtick, basically, waltzing in somewhere and doling out vigilante justice, but it's a different time, and Korra has to be a different avatar.
If you would be so kind as to drop the charges against Korra, I will take full responsibility for today's regrettable events and cover all the damages.
Pretty cool that Lin opens Korra's cuffs with the flippant hand wave she uses to agree with Tenzin.
Get her out of my city.
Always a pleasure, Lin. Let's go, Korra.
She did the soccer thing, kinda. Don't worry, I clocked it too. I got it, guys. This is a weird-looking platypus bear, comparatively.
Katara agreed with me that I should come. She said my destiny is in Republic City.
Don't bring my mother into this.
This show, well, mostly just this season actually, has this weird reaction shot thing it likes to do. It's really weird once you notice it. I'll go more into it when there's that really bad one. Weird that the kids are so stoked to see Korra. They didn't say a goddamn word to her in the South Pole. They were more interested in Katara.
You may stay and train airbending here with me. Republic City needs its avatar once again.
Yes! Thank Thank you!
There's this lovely little animation moment here where you can see Korra get excited as Tenzin delivers the line, and you can see Tenzin get excited that Korra gets excited. It's just little stuff like that goes so unnoticed and underappreciated, but it does a lot for making these characters feel realer than they would have otherwise. Damn, Korra's strong as hell, and weirdly I'm gonna bring this hug back in a point I want to make about something really dumb that happens in book 4, if we ever make it that far.
Hello? I'm Korra. Your new avatar.
That's another interesting point, that Korra and a handful of people knew that she was the Avatar for a long time, but I guess it's been a secret to the rest of the world up until now? Like, she seems to be announcing it. She says that she's their new Avatar. But then Lin seemed to be in on the secret. She said that she was well aware.
See, I'm the Avatar.
Oh, I am well aware of who you are.
So much so that she didn't see Korra do any bending, and she knew who she was. And the only bending the metal cops see Korra do is water bending, which makes sense for the way she's dressed, meaning that Lin probably wouldn't have learned it from them. Lin would probably know about Korra, since her and Tenzin were dating, most likely at a time where Korra was a kid, but the interrogation scene did seem like the first time they met.
Lin Beifong? You're Toph's daughter.
What of it?
Well then, why are you treating me like a criminal? Avatar Aang and your mother were friends.
So if this is Korra announcing herself to the world, how did Lin know she was the Avatar, just by the look of her? Is Lin so insane she has like Zhong awareness? Remember how Zhong could tell Aang hadn't mastered water or earthbending yet, just by the way he carried himself? Does Lin have the same level of awareness? Can she tell Korra's more than just a waterbender, just from how Korra is? Oh, man, I gotta stop, or this video is gonna go on all day. There's a fucking Cyclops back here in the crowd. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. Just wanted to be sure everyone was being safe about it. Amon is looking at a map of Republic City here.
So, the Avatar has arrived early. It looks like we'll have to accelerate our plans.
And we end on a pretty cool stinger for Amon. I gotta say, for all the problems I have with this show, this is a pretty good opening episode. Like, probably a better opening episode than Airbender had. By the way, it's annoying to have to say the original show or the last Airbender every time, so from here on out, I'm just gonna be referring to the original show as Airbender, and this one is Korra. Anyway, yeah, I think this episode is a better episode one than Airbender had. Probably because of the work Airbender already did for it, though. Avatar had to introduce literally everything about the world and its characters, and Korra benefits from not having to do that, and having time to really characterize Korra very strongly, and to show off Republic City when she finally gets there. Tenzin gets a little bit of a spotlight too, which is good since he's such a big character, and the conflict for the season is in the background too. We shout out Airbender a nice amount, we don't hang on it too much, which I really like. This is a sequel series, we should move on, while still showing appropriate reverence for the show that preceded this when it's needed or when it's fun. So luckily, episode 1 I feel like turned out to be a pretty positive video, which is a nice way to start, but let me remind you, I will not mince words in the future when things are bad, so look out for that. Oh, and before the patron shoutouts, I just want to do one of these real quick. If you like the video and you want to see more Overanalyzing Korra, make sure to tell me in a comment. Like the video, and I know there's some of you out there that aren't subscribed, so do that shit already. Everyone's talking behind your back, like, wow, I can't believe they're not subscribed yet. Like, I didn't want to be the one to have to tell you, but like, I figured you should know. Also, my coverage of the mainline Airbender comics is done now, and I think those videos turned out pretty good, so go give them a watch if you want more of me and more of your beloved Airbender characters. Also, fuck it, watch my super high effort videos. Those are really fun, and everyone tells me they're my best videos by far, and I agree, so go watch those. Alright, that's enough shilling for now, at least. Patrons. Patron shoutouts. If you want to see the next 2 episodes of Overanalyzing Korra, feels weird to say that, you can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons, Omega Fighter, who had to sign off on the Big Bang happening, and lucky enough for us, he let it go through. Sean Martin, who's the only one to ever actually fight himself out of a wet paper bag. He commissioned one that was 10 feet tall just so we could do it, and now no one can say that he can't. Stephanie Riches, who won a staring contest with the sun. Thomas Lautenbach, who can play radio audio out of his mouth if he holds a fork towards the sky. Tiago Nascimento, who found a rolled up wad of hundreds on the sidewalk and hit a sick fadeaway jumper into a homeless person's cup with it. And Whitrow, who's the only person to ever win a spelling bee while they had a mouthful of bees. And of course my god overanalyzers, 2 Boots Are Beat, Andrew Watchett, Austin Gallup, Bob Deff, Dizzy Payne, Dr. Xerox, Dominic Saint, Donut, Distant, Aaron Grace, Jackson, John Ajaka, Justin Fletchall, Justin Wells, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bayron, Reese, Rocket Miss, Ryan Gregorikos, Ryan Maxwell, Samuel Vanderplatt, Super Snipper, Turd Bobs, and some sort of bare face, IDK. Next up, we introduce more of the cast. That'll be fun, right?